Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to go and explain a little bit behind this Perdigon nymph and other Perdigon nymphs and about taper around it, tips how to achieve certain tapers, and tips how to be consistent about these flies. They look simple, but some people are struggling to get those consistent results, which are actually going to tell you that someone is a good tyer as opposed to inconsistent results when someone is like still struggling with some aspects of tying. So usually you would like to tie these flies on a dry fly hook because it penetrates more easily into jaw of the fish. So that's competition thinking, like you need to maximize your hook rate. So this is size 14 hook, but the body that you make here looks rather small, so it's wider gap. Again, improved hooking point. Everything is about maximizing catch. So I'm going to go with a dry fly hook. As you can see, it's a standard dry fly model, normal shank length. Then I'm going to take silver or copper bead. In this case it's going to be silver. I like the contrast it makes. Usually I will make it with copper because I like this contrast between black and red tinsel at the back, but this time I will have red, black and silver. So some people are struggling with putting the bead on the hook. What I do, I just roll the bead between my fingers until I see this a little hole here, and then I just thread the hook through it. So let me see how, okay, you can see it more or less. So just thread it with a hook like so. I mean, it's a little bit tricky to do it in front of camera, everything is small, but nevertheless, let's start and tie the hook, tie the fly. For the tail I'm going to use coq de lion because this is traditional material for the tail of this fly. But before I do that, I need to discuss the thread. So it's not irrelevant what thread are you going to use. So in this case I have thread that is actually made out of 2 strands. So if you use this thread, it's going to make very bumpy and uneven body. And this is 6/0 thickness of thread. This thread is good for some other applications, which honestly I don't use too much because I like flat threads and this one is not. So I'm gonna just put this aside. Then maybe you can use something like this, which is amazing thread. It has very good strength and breaking strength, and it's flat, but there is one very big issue with it. It's thin, and here you don't want to use too thin thread because it will require too many wraps. Going with just one number up, it doesn't help too much. So let's go with a few numbers up, and I'm going to use Vivis 8/0 thread, which one is, as you can see, flat. Now, before I go on, I have to warn you, I have this fly made before, so I'm making this one because it's going to get into this giveaway box which I'm making for you guys. So that's the reason why I'm making the double video, and I'm gonna add some tips. So the way how I thread bobbin is like so. I just go in a little bit with the thread, as you can see, and then I just suck it out. I pull put it in my mouth and just inhale. So I'm gonna start with reverse jam hitch here, and I'm using 8/0 thread in this case. I mean, it's rather big fly, size 14. So reverse jam hitch, place it a little bit forward, not where you want your body to end. So with flat thread, go a couple of reps up, transfer the thread, the tag end forward, catch it with a bobbin holder, and then just cover it a little bit and cut off the tag end. For the tail, excuse me, For the tail, I'm using traditional material for this matter, and traditional material is Coq de Lion. Okay. It's beautiful, it's traditional, no reason to use anything else. I mean, you can use any rooster barbs. So I'm just gonna take a couple of barbs in this case, let's say this many, whatever, plug them out, place them on the hook to see the length here, and then just take it with your left hand. Now next step you want to do is to spin, counter spin the bobbin holder. I want to counter spin it a little bit more so it jumps into my fingers, so I can place the wrap precisely where I want it. And I'm going towards the bead in this case, but I'm going with flat thread. Place the barbs on the top of the hook shank. Now you can release your hand. And look at this, go around with a soft wrap. Pull up and everything will stay up. Now because I have a bare hook shank now, I'm gonna, just in case, just hold my finger here and again pull up to tighten everything. Pull up to tighten everything, because when you pull up, the previous wrap you made, this one over here, is actually pulling down. It's called pull up to pull down. I have learned that from Mr. Wayne Allen. So by pulling up this tag end here, you're actually cinching down the previous wrap of the thread. Now what I need to do is cut off the excess. I don't need this waste down here. Okay. Add the tinsel. And for the tinsel I'm using obviously reflective red tinsel. You can use whatever you want, but traditionally for the Falangista nymph you use red one and black thread. Now I use rather generous amount, it's like 15-20 centimeters, so I can tie a couple of flies with it. Place, again, counter spin your thread, place the tinsel here next to your hook shank, and then just catch it with a flat thread and keep those wraps one next to another. It's going to help you a lot. And I'm stopping here. Now start wrapping in slightly forward angle. Okay, keep it relative as tight as you can, but it's not necessary to be without any gaps as you wrap. Go around the thread, it's okay, and then reverse the angle. So instead of the angle going forward, it can go backwards. This way you're crisscrossing everything, making sure that those gaps are covered, and make sure that you don't go over the tails, because you can displace the tail unintentionally. Now if you want to make thin body, just make a couple of layers of thread, we'll finish the fly and you're done. In theory thin body should sink more fast, but I doubt that it will make any difference between relatively thick perdigon and relatively thin perdigon. So I'm going to just go with those wraps which are tight next to another, and then place my finger over here. The only chaotic moment of wrapping is here. I want to fix this bead into position, and the position is like slightly upwards. You can see that it's above the hook shank. Now every once in a while, counter spin the bobbin, you need your flat thread. Now go back and go back, touch the tinsel like so, touch it. Now again, in touching wraps, go forward. Now when you go back again, you can see that I went up the bead a little bit. When you go back again, you don't touch the tinsel, you go less than that. See, one wrap less or two wraps less, it's okay. And then touch the bead. Now we're going to go let's say 2 or 3 reps shy of the tinsel here. Okay, and then go forward again. And then repeat the process until you get the desired effect. So I'm gonna do, and the secret is to be just consistent. Just make sure that you're doing it like a printer, you know. So going from here to here, then one less and one less and one less, and your taper is going to be the same every single time. Then go near the bead and then go. Now when I'm almost done, you have to take into consideration that you're going to have 1 layer or 2 layers of UV glue over the body, so don't make it flat with the top of the tungsten here. Don't make it completely level. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to cover the whole length of the body, black part of the body at least, with this thread. I'm covering it up, and then when you're a couple of reps shy of the tungsten, sorry for the noise, I have to grease the bobbin holder a little bit. When you're a couple of reps shy, just go and we'll finish your fly. There is one little neat trick about cutting the thread, because every thread has a stretch in it. So instead of just keeping it like this without any tension, cutting it, you're gonna end up with a tag end. Try to pull the thread. You see what you can see? Try to pull the thread like so, and just go in with your scissors. And don't cut it with this motion. Don't close your scissors, just push them and slice the thread. That's the secret. Now, your scissors are not required to be perfect, but better scissors, cleaner the cut. So the tip of your scissors should be very thin. These scissors here are not so sharp and not so thin, as you can see, and I have even worse than this. So now it's time to finish up your fly, and it's easier, like I'm going to show you how to do that again. I mean, it's probably not a big deal for many people, but some people definitely struggle. So what you want to do is take a drop. Just take the drop. Just a single drop is usually enough. Place it near the bead. What I do is, as you can see, I'm just distributing around the bead, making a full round circle, and then just pull this towards the rear end. What this does, this is actually going to place most of your UV near the tungsten, and as you pull it backwards, it's going to distribute smaller and smaller layer. But you can go back and forth if there is any patch of body that's missing some UV. So if I see that something is not perfect, I'm just gonna go and cover it up again. Okay, try to spin your vise constantly. When you're done, take your torch and cure the resin. But keep spinning your vise, because it will keep your UV in place. So when you're working with UV, you want to have your thread in relatively perfect condition, so without any frays, because any frays, any dusts, any small pieces of hair will stick out of this UV glue like crazy, and the surface is not going to be such smooth and nice and even as it is on this fly, as you can see. So keep it clean, keep your fingers clean, keep your tools clean, because those small pieces of dust can just fall on your fly and ruin what you've worked for. I know that this is very simple fly, but because a lot of people are struggling, I decided to make a video. So thanks to my friend Zoran Živanovic, I decided to do this one and to put a couple of these flies into my giveaway box, and make someone happy, I hope. So guys, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe, and see you next time.